Prepare for a journey that will challenge your mind, inspire your soul, and reveal ancient secrets in a way you never imagined. This is not just a story. It's an epic of courage, faith, and divine wonders that resonate through millennia. Allow yourself to be swept away by a colossal narrative where the fate of empires hangs by a thread and the voice of the eternal echoes through his faithful. You are about to witness the unwavering power of belief against tyranny, wisdom that transcends time, and prophecies that continue to unfold before our very eyes. This is the story of Daniel, a man whose legacy is as vast as the heavens themselves, a saga that will captivate you from the first moment to the last. Every word, every event, is an invitation to dive into the extraordinary. Prepare your heart, because this journey is about to begin, and we promise you will emerge transformed. Imagine a world turned upside down, a place where everything you knew was torn away, where your home, your culture, and your freedom were stripped bare by an overwhelming power. It is here that our colossal narrative begins, in the ruins of a conquered kingdom, amidst the lamentations of a captive people. In the midst of this devastation, a young man named Daniel emerges, a man of unwavering faith, whose presence radiated a dignity that not even the chains of an empire could shake. He was taken, torn from his homeland, to the glittering golden city of Babylon, a place of unimaginable power, dazzling riches, and seductive temptations. But Daniel, along with his 3 loyal friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, made a choice that, though seemingly simple, would echo through eternity, shaping not only their destinies but the course of history. They decided to stand firm. They decided to honor their ancient traditions, even when surrounded by the sumptuous banquets and luxurious wines king. They chose a simple diet of vegetables and water, an act of peaceful resistance that would become a testament to their indomitable spirit. And what happened? A spectacular miracle. Not only did they survive, but they prospered. They grew stronger, wiser, more vibrant, and healthier than all those who feasted at the king's abundant table. Their minds sharpened, their bodies flourished, and a special glow of knowledge and discernment enveloped them. Daniel, in particular, was graced with an extraordinary gift, a deep understanding of visions and dreams, a portal to the mysteries of the universe. This was not merely an act of defiance. It was the first murmur of divine power in action, setting the stage for wonders that would challenge the most fertile imagination. From this humble beginning, a legend was being woven, proving that true strength resides not in armies or treasures, but in unshakable faith that dares to defy the greatest empires. This is just a prelude to a breathtaking journey that will leave you gasping for air, filled with the purest courage and touched by the miraculous. The narrative of Daniel and his friends is not just an anecdote of resilience. It is a vibrant declaration that integrity and devotion can shine brightest in the deepest shadows. They became beacons of hope in a foreign land, proving that the light of truth cannot be extinguished. Their story, told with simplicity and depth, teaches us that the smallest choices can have the greatest consequences. The world was about to discover that these young captives carried within them something far more powerful than any army, the very presence of the infinite. And that's why, if you are feeling as captivated as we are by this epic journey, you should consider joining our community for more incredible stories like this. The stage is set, and now, the action intensifies with an event that would shake the foundations of the most powerful empire on earth. King Nebuchadnezzar, the supreme monarch of Babylon, was haunted by a dream. It was no ordinary dream, but a vision so vivid and disturbing that it stole his
sons and your
sleep
daughters
peace.
shall prophesy.
He awoke with his heart pounding, his mind a whirlwind of fragmented images, terrified and confused. But there was a problem. He remembered the intensity of the dream, the fear that filled him, but the exact image, the crucial
Herein
details
lies
had
the
vanished from
wisdom
his
of the
memory.
ancients.
Desperate,
A path
he
to
summoned all his
understanding
wise
the
men,
universe
magicians,
itself.
sorcerers, and astrologers, demanding not only the interpretation, but that they reveal the dream itself. An impossible task, an insane demand, a test of loyalty and power that no mortal could fulfill. The lives of the wise men were at stake, a ruthless ultimatum. Reveal the dream and its meaning or face a terrible death. The palace filled with panic. The wise men trembled, for how could they know something the king himself could not recall? They pleaded, argued, but the king's word was unbreakable law. Execution was imminent. And then, amidst all this chaos and despair, Daniel emerges. With a serene calm and unwavering faith, he approached the king, not with arrogance, but with a confidence that came from a much higher place. He asked for time, a single night, to seek revelation from the true God. The king, for some inexplicable reason, granted it. On that crucial night, Daniel and his friends prayed. They did not ask for luck, but for divine wisdom, for a door that only the Creator could open. And the answer came, glorious and undeniable. The mystery was unveiled. God revealed the king's dream to Daniel in its entirety, with every vivid detail and its deepest meaning. Daniel, standing before the most powerful king in the world, sought no glory for himself. He gave all credit to the God of heaven, the one who reveals mysteries and controls history. He described a colossal and dazzling statue composed of different materials, a head of pure gold, chest and arms of silver, belly and thighs of bronze, legs of iron, and feet of iron mixed with clay. An interpretation? Absolutely astonishing. Each material represented a world empire that would rise and fall over centuries. The head of gold was Babylon itself, Nebuchadnezzar's empire, unequaled in its glory. Then, other kingdoms would come one after another, diminishing in value but increasing in military strength, until the iron and clay represented an era of divided and fragile kingdoms. But the most impactful part came last, a stone cut not by human hands, that struck the statue's feet, shattering it into tiny pieces, and growing until it became a mountain that filled the whole earth. This stone, Daniel explained, represented an eternal kingdom, a divine kingdom that would not be destroyed, but that would destroy all earthly empires and stand forever. The king was stunned. His heart trembled. Not only did Daniel reveal the dream, but his interpretation was so precise, so grand, that there was no room for doubt. He fell to his knees before Daniel, recognizing that Daniel's God was the God of gods and the Lord of kings. This moment was not just a triumph for Daniel. It was a proclamation to the world that there is a sovereign in heaven who governs the affairs of men, who knows the future, and who has a grand plan in motion. This epic revelation from chapter and verse is not just an ancient prophecy. It is a map of unfolding history, inviting us to see the invisible hand of the Creator behind every era, every empire, every event. It is a sensational vision that reminds us that no matter how powerful human kingdoms may seem, there is a supreme kingdom that will one day dominate everything. Still under the shadow of divine revelation, King Nebuchadnezzar, though he had acknowledged the supremacy of Daniel's God, unfortunately succumbed again to the arrogance of his own power. Blinded by vanity and the desire for eternal glory, he commanded a colossal image to be built, a gigantic statue, all of gold, 60 cubits high and 6 cubits wide, a monument to his own greatness, erected on the plain of Dura, for all peoples and nations to worship. And it was not a suggestion. It was a royal decree, non-negotiable, accompanied by a terrible threat. Anyone who refused to bow down before the golden image would instantly be thrown into a blazing fiery furnace. The music echoed, the herald proclaimed, and before the entire empire, the demand was clear: worship the king or burn. Amidst this overwhelming display of power and idolatry, 3 figures remained standing in total defiance. They were Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, Daniel's inseparable friends, now known by their Babylonian names, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When the orchestra played and all the leaders and subjects fell in worship, they remained upright, a direct affront to the king, an act of disobedience that seemed suicidal. The Chaldeans, envious and eager to bring down the young Jews who had ascended to positions of power, quickly denounced their refusal to the king. Nebuchadnezzar, furious, his face distorted by rage, summoned the 3 men. His voice trembled with indignation as he gave them one last chance. Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not worship my gods or the gold statue I have set up? If, at the sound of the music, you do not bow down, you will immediately be thrown into the blazing furnace. And what God will be able to rescue you from my hands?
Charge!
The threat was clear. The king's power was absolute. But the response of the 3 young men was a demonstration of faith and courage that would echo through all eternity. With a calm that defied logic, they declared, "O Nebuchadnezzar, we do not need to defend ourselves before you in this matter. If we are thrown into the blazing furnace, the God we serve is able to save us from it, and he will rescue us from your hand, O king. But even if he does not, we want you to know, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold you have set up." The king's fury reached its peak. He ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times hotter than usual, so hot that the flames devoured the very men who threw Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into it. The 3 young men, bound in their robes, were thrown into the blazing abyss to a certain and agonizing death. Hell on earth seemed to consume them. But then, something absolutely unbelievable happened. Nebuchadnezzar, who was watching the spectacle with his advisors, was perplexed. "Didn't we throw 3 men bound into the fire?" he asked, astonished. "Yes, O king," they replied. "Look," the king exclaimed, "I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods. A celestial being of majestic presence walked with them, transforming hell into a place of miracle and protection." The king, filled with reverent terror, ordered the 3 to come out of the furnace. And they came out. Not a hair on their heads was singed, their robes were not scorched, and there was no smell of fire on them.
And I will pour
It was
out
a spectacular
my spirit
demonstration
on all
of God's
flesh.
power,
Your
undeniable
sons and your
proof that he is
daughters
Lord
shall
over all
prophesy.
things, including the devouring fire. Nebuchadnezzar once again proclaimed the greatness of the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, decreeing that anyone who spoke against him would be torn limb from limb. This epic narrative from chapter and verse is not just a story of survival. It is an ode to unwavering faith, proof that the courage to remain faithful could defy death and the wrath of the most powerful. It is a sensational lesson that reminds us that even in the direst circumstances, when all seems lost, divine presence can turn the impossible into a visible miracle for all. If you are moved by the strength and beauty of this narrative, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our future explorations of wonders like this. And share this story so more people can be inspired. Unlimited power can corrupt even the most powerful souls, and pride is a treacherous trap. King Nebuchadnezzar, who had already witnessed miracles and recognized the greatness of Daniel's God, unfortunately had not learned the complete lesson. He delighted in the glory of his empire, elevating himself above everything. But the sovereign of the universe would not let such pride go unpunished. And so, Nebuchadnezzar was haunted by another dream, a mysterious vision that once again stole his peace and plunged him into deep terror. He saw a gigantic tree that reached the sky and was visible from all parts of the earth. Its leaves were beautiful, its fruit abundant, and beneath it all animals found shade and birds made their nests. It was an image of power, prosperity, and dominion. But suddenly, a celestial messenger, a watcher and a holy one, descended from heaven and proclaimed with powerful voice that the tree would be cut down, its branches lopped off, its leaves stripped, and its fruit scattered. However, its trunk and roots would be left in the ground, bound with a chain of iron and bronze, among the grass of the field. And, even stranger, its human heart would be changed to the heart of an animal, and he would live among the wild animals for 7 times, until he recognized that the Most High rules over the kingdom of mankind and gives it to whomever he wishes. The king awoke in a panic, his heart pounding, the images of the dream etched in his mind. Once again, his wise men, magicians, and astrologers were called, but once again, they failed to interpret the mystery. And, like a beacon in the darkness, Daniel was summoned, the only one capable of unraveling heavenly secrets. Daniel heard the dream, and for a moment he was troubled, his face pale with the gravity of the revelation. He expressed the hope that the dream applied to the king's enemies, but the truth was undeniable. With courage and sincerity, Daniel delivered the most shocking interpretation. "This dream, O king, concerns you. You are the tree that grew and became strong, whose greatness reached to the heavens, and whose dominion extended the ends of the earth. But you will be cut down. You will be driven away from people, and will live with the wild animals. You will eat grass like the oxen, and be drenched with the dew of heaven. 7 times will pass over you, until you acknowledge that the Most High rules over the kingdom of mankind, and gives it to whomever he wishes." Daniel pleaded with the king to change his ways, to practice justice and mercy, so that perhaps his calamity would be postponed. But the pride of Nebuchadnezzar was too deep. 12 months passed, and he, walking in his royal palace in Babylon, looked at the magnificence of the city and proclaimed, "Is not this the great Babylon I have built as the royal residence by my mighty power and for the glory of my majesty?" Hardly had the words left his mouth when a thunderous voice came from heaven. "This is what is decreed for you, King Nebuchadnezzar. Your royal authority has been taken from you. You will be driven away from people and will live with the wild animals." And at that very instant, the prophecy was fulfilled in a terrible and spectacular way. Nebuchadnezzar was immediately expelled from human company. He became like an animal, living among the wild oxen, eating grass, his body drenched with the dew of night. His hair grew like the feathers of an eagle, and his nails like the claws of a bird. The most powerful king in the world was reduced to a primitive existence, a shocking spectacle of the transience of human power. 7 long times passed, years of humiliation and dispossession, until, at the end of that period, Nebuchadnezzar, with his mind restored, looked up to heaven. His reason returned, and with it a transformed heart. He blessed the Most High, praised and glorified him who lives forever, whose dominion is eternal, and whose kingdom endures from generation to generation. He acknowledged that all the inhabitants of the earth are regarded as nothing before him, and that no one can hold back his hand or say to him, "What have you done?" In that moment of humiliation and redemption, the king understood true sovereignty, and then his kingdom and majesty were restored to him, and he became even greater than before, governing with newfound wisdom and humility. This is an impactful and sensational story from chapter and verse, a dramatic reminder that arrogance precedes a fall, and that true power resides in acknowledging supreme authority. It is an epic tale of how even the greatest of men can be humbled by the Creator, not to be destroyed, but to be transformed and glorified. Humility is the door to true greatness, and the acceptance of divine sovereignty is the key to peace. Years passed, and the Babylonian Empire, once the terror of the world, began to show cracks in its golden foundation. The great Nebuchadnezzar was gone, and a new king, Belshazzar, reigned in his place. Unlike his predecessor, Belshazzar had no memory of divine humiliation, nor respect for the miraculous acts that had saved Daniel and his friends. In his arrogance and contempt, he decided to host a colossal banquet, an extravagant feast for 1,000 of his nobles, where wine flowed freely and impiety unfolded without limits. But Belshazzar was not content with mere extravagance. In an act of supreme blasphemy and defiance of the true God, he ordered the sacred vessels that Nebuchadnezzar had plundered from the temple in Jerusalem to be brought. These objects, consecrated for divine worship, were desecrated. The king, his nobles, his wives, and his concubines drank wine from them, toasting and praising their gods of gold, silver, bronze, iron, wood, and stone, gods made by human hands, who cannot see, hear, or know. It was a direct affront, an open contempt for the Almighty. Amidst the revelry, loud music, and drunkenness of the feast, a glacial terror descended upon the hall. Suddenly, in a moment of terrifying silence, fingers of a human hand appeared from nowhere and began to write on the plastered wall of the palace, near the lampstand. The sight was spectacular and terrifying. The words shown on the wall, mysterious and unintelligible.
"And I will
King
pour out my
Belshazzar,
spirit on
who had
all
earlier
flesh.
flaunted arrogance,
Your
paled.
sons and your
His
daughters
countenance
shall
changed
prophesy.
drastically. His joints gave way and his knees knocked together. Panic completely overwhelmed him. He cried out, demanding that the astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers be brought to decipher the message. He promised riches,
Herein
purple robes,
lies
and the
the
third
wisdom
highest
of the
position in the kingdom to
ancients,
anyone who could
a
read
path to
and interpret the
understanding
words.
the universe
But
itself.
again, all the wise men of Babylon failed miserably. The words remained a terrifying enigma, foreshadowing calamity no one could unravel. The king was even more disturbed, and his nobles perplexed. It was then that the queen mother, a wise woman who remembered Nebuchadnezzar's days, entered the hall. She reminded the king about a man, Daniel, who possessed an extraordinary spirit, knowledge, understanding, and the ability to interpret dreams, unravel enigmas, and solve mysteries. Daniel, who had been forgotten and neglected under Belshazzar's reign, was urgently summoned. Daniel, a man of age and incomparable wisdom, presented himself before the frightened king. He was not intimidated by promises of wealth and power, nor by the grandiosity of the court. He first reproached Belshazzar for his arrogance and his lack of humility, for not having learned from his ancestor Nebuchadnezzar's humiliation. He confronted the king for profaning the sacred vessels and praising lifeless idols, instead of honoring the God who held his breath and controlled all his ways. Then, with a clear and firm voice, Daniel revealed the interpretation of those terrifying words. Mean, tekel, upharsin. Mean, God has numbered the days of your reign and brought it to an end. Tekel, you have been weighed on the scales and found wanting. Upharsin, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. The revelation was devastating. That very night, the prophecy was fulfilled with astonishing speed. Babylon, the invincible city, which seemed impregnable with its massive walls and the Euphrates River, fell. King Belshazzar was killed, and Darius the Mede took over the kingdom. The Golden Empire, which had dominated the world for generations, collapsed in a single night, brought down not by great armies in direct battle, but by the invisible hand of divine destiny and the word of a prophet. This is one of the most sensational and impactful narratives from chapter and verse, an epic tale of pride and fall, a vivid reminder that divine justice has its time, and that no human power can defy the Creator with impunity. It is a story that shows us that history is written by a hand much greater than that of kings, and that words written on the wall can seal the fate of entire empires. This is one of those stories that resonates deeply. If it moved you, consider sharing this video with your friends and family, so they too can experience the power of this extraordinary narrative. Babylon fell, and a new empire rose, the Medo-Persian, with Darius the Mede on the throne. Daniel, now an old man, but still vibrant in his faith and wisdom, continued to shine. His reputation for excellence and integrity was so great that King Darius appointed him as one of the 3 chief administrators of the kingdom, and there were plans for Daniel to be placed above all others. Daniel's wisdom and diligence surpassed those of all other officials, making him a pillar of governance. But, as always, excellence attracts envy. The other satraps and administrators, consumed by jealousy and ambition, could not tolerate Daniel's rise. They conspired to bring him down, seeking any flaw in his conduct or in his administration. They searched tirelessly for a reason to accuse him, but Daniel was irreproachable. His life was a testament to integrity, his conduct impeccable. They could not find any accusation, any blemish in his character or in his work. Frustrated, they finally realized that the only way to set a trap for Daniel would be through his faith, through his unwavering devotion to his God. They approached King Darius with a cunning and wicked plan. Flattering the king, they convinced him to sign a royal decree. For 30 days, anyone who made a petition to any god or man, except the King Darius himself, would be thrown into the lion's den. The king, in his vanity, and perhaps without understanding the ramifications of such a law, signed the edict. Medo-Persian law was unalterable. Once signed, not even the king could revoke it. Daniel's fate was sealed. Daniel, aware of the decree, did not change his behavior. His devotion was stronger than fear. 3 times a day, he went to his room, opened the windows facing Jerusalem, and prayed to his God, exactly as he always had. Not in secret, not with fear, but openly, with the same unwavering faith. The conspirators, who watched him closely, caught him red-handed. With a malicious smile, they ran to the king to denounce Daniel. "O king, did you not sign a decree?" They reminded him of the law and, with sadistic satisfaction, revealed, "Daniel, one of the exiles from Judah, has paid no attention to you, O king, or to the decree you signed, but 3 times a day he makes his prayer." King Darius was deeply distressed. He liked Daniel, recognized his worth and righteousness. He spent the whole day trying to find a way to save Daniel, but the law was unyielding. The conspirators insisted on the execution of the sentence. With a heavy heart, Darius was forced to give the order. Daniel was taken to the lion's den. A stone was rolled over the entrance, sealed with the king's and his noble seal, so that no one could interfere. As Daniel was led away, the king uttered words that revealed his hope and his anguish. "May your God, whom you serve continually, rescue you." The king spent a terrible night, without eating, without entertainment, without sleep. At dawn, with the first light of day, he rushed to the lion's den. With an anguished voice, he cried out, "Daniel, servant of the living God, Has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?" And then, from the depths of darkness and danger, came a voice, the voice of Daniel. "Calm, serene, alive. O King, live forever. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight, nor have I ever done any wrong before you, O King." The king was overjoyed. Daniel was lifted from the den unharmed, without the slightest scratch. And to punish the conspirators, Darius ordered that they, their wives, and their children be thrown into the same den. The lions, hungry and wild, devoured them instantly even before they reached the bottom of the den. Darius then issued a new decree to all peoples, nations, and languages throughout his empire, proclaiming the greatness of Daniel's God. "I issue a decree that in every part of my kingdom people must fear and reverence the God of Daniel. For he is a living God, and he endures forever. His kingdom will not be destroyed. His dominion will never end. He rescues and he saves.
And I will pour out my spirit on all flesh.
He performs signs and wonders in the heavens and on the earth.
Your sons and your
He
daughters
has rescued
shall
Daniel
prophesy.
from the power of the lions." This is, without a doubt, one of the most epic and sensational narratives from chapter and verse, a vibrant testimony of unwavering faith and divine protection. It is a story that inspires generations to trust in God's power,
the wisdom of the
even in the
ancients,
face of certain
a
death.
path to
Daniel in the
understanding
lion's
the
den is not
universe
just a tale of
itself.
survival. It is a hymn to faithfulness that defies all dangers and a spectacular demonstration that the Creator is capable of shutting the mouths of the fiercest lions. If the story of courage and miracle impacted you, please like this video and share it with everyone you know. It's a message that needs to be heard, a source of hope that can illuminate the darkest days. With the Medo-Persian Empire firmly established, Daniel, the faithful servant of God, continued to receive extraordinary revelations, visions that delve into the depths of the future and unveil the mysteries of a nation's destiny. One night, while lying in his bed, Daniel had a dream and impressive visions. The veil between time and eternity seemed to tear, revealing a panorama of coming ages, a spectacle of power and transformation that would leave anyone in awe. He saw the four winds of heaven churning the great sea. And suddenly, from the turbulent sea, four great beasts emerged, each different from the other, each with symbolism that foreshadowed the rise and fall of empires that would shape human history. The first beast was like a lion, but had eagle's wings. Daniel watched as its wings were torn off, and it was lifted from the ground, set on its feet like a man, and a human heart was given to it. This majestic and, at the same time, stripped creature represented the Babylonian Empire, powerful as a lion, but its arrogance, the wings, would be removed and it would be humanized in its fall. The second beast was like a bear, raised up on one of its sides, with 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. Daniel saw that it was told, "Get up and eat your fill of flesh." This beast symbolized the Medo-Persian Empire,
are the
more
guardians of the
voracious
light,
and conquering than its
the
predecessor,
protectors of the
with the
innocent.
Persian part one side raised, dominating the Medo. The 3 ribs could represent the 3 main conquests, Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt. The third beast was like a leopard, with 4 wings of a bird on its back and 4 heads. This creature, of astonishing speed, represented the Greek Empire, led by Alexander the Great, who conquered the known world with unmatched speed, the wings. The 4 heads symbolized the division of his empire into 4 kingdoms after his death. But the most terrifying vision was that of the 4th beast. Indescribable, dreadful, terrifying, and extremely strong. It had large iron teeth. It devoured and crushed everything and trampled down whatever was left. It was different from all the others and had 10 horns. As Daniel contemplated the horns, another small horn, with eyes like the eyes of a man and a mouth that spoke with great arrogance, emerged among them, uprooting 3 of the first horns. This beast symbolized the Roman Empire, and the 10 horns represented divisions or kings within that empire. The small, speaking horn was a prefiguration of a power that would arise, arrogant and dominating, challenging the Most High himself. Daniel, deeply troubled and anxious to understand the meaning of all this, approached one of the celestial beings that were present in the vision. The angelic being explained that the 4 great beasts represented 4 kings or kingdoms that would rise from the earth. But, in the end, the kingdom would be given to the saints of the Most High, who would possess the kingdom forever and ever. Then, Daniel asked specifically about the 4th beast, the most terrible one, and about the small horn, which made war against the saints and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given in favor of the saints of the Most High. The celestial being revealed that this beast would devour the whole earth and trample it down. The 10 horns were 10 kings who would rise, and after them another king would rise, different from the former ones, who would humble 3 kings. He would speak words against the Most High, oppress the saints, and try to change the appointed times and laws. The saints would be handed over to him for a time, times, and half a time. But finally, the court would sit, and the beast's dominion would be taken away, to be destroyed and consumed. And the culmination of the vision, Daniel saw, in the visions of the night, someone like a son of man coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days, and was led into his presence. And to him was given authority, glory, and sovereign power. All peoples, nations, and men of every language worshipped him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion that will not pass away, and his kingdom is one that will never be destroyed. This figure, the Son of Man, is one of the most powerful and significant prophecies of Messiah. This vision from chapter and verse is an epic spectacle, a sensational panorama of prophetic history, revealing the rise and fall of empires and divine sovereignty over human affairs. It is a window to the future, reminding us that no matter how chaotic the world may seem, there is a greater plan in action, culminating in the arrival of an eternal and just kingdom. If this depth of revelation fascinates you, why not subscribe to our channel for more insights and share this content with those who seek the truth? Together, we can unravel the mysteries that shape our world. Daniel's revelations continue to deepen, offering even more detailed and astonishing glimpse of future events. In a subsequent vision, while near the Ulai River, Daniel witnessed an animalistic spectacle of epic proportions, but with a meaning that would transcend the natural realm, painting a clear picture of power struggles between coming empires. This was not a mere allegory. It was a clear foreshadowing, a map of the geopolitical future that would leave any modern military strategist impressed. He saw a ram with 2 horns which grew higher and higher. One horn was longer than the other, and the longer one came up last. The ram charged to the west, to the north, and to the south, and no beast could stand against it, nor was there anyone who could rescue from its power. It did as it pleased and grew great. This majestic and dominating beast represented the Medo-Persian Empire, with the 2 horns symbolizing the 2 nations, and the larger horn representing Persia, which became the dominant force and conquered vast lands in all directions. As Daniel watched the ram at its peak of power, something dramatic and unexpected happened. Suddenly, a goat, coming from the west, appeared over the face of the whole earth, without touching the ground. This goat had a prominent horn between its eyes. It came with such fury and power that it seemed an unstoppable storm. The goat charged at the ram that Daniel had seen standing beside the river, and struck it with all its fury. The clash was spectacular. The goat attacked the ram vehemently, breaking its 2 horns. The ram had no strength to resist, and the goat knocked it to the ground and trampled it. No one could rescue the ram from the goat's power. This scene of animal combat was a vivid and exact prophecy of the rise of the Greek Empire. The goat represented Greece, and the great prominent horn between its eyes symbolized Alexander the Great, the legendary conqueror who moved with incredible speed without touching the ground, and crushed the Medo-Persian Empire with overwhelming force. But the vision did not stop there. At the height of its power, the goat's great horn was broken, and in its place, 4 prominent horns sprang up, pointing toward the 4 winds of heaven. This represented the premature death of Alexander the Great and the subsequent division of his vast empire among his 4 principal generals: Cassander, Macedonian Greece; Lysimachus, Thrace and Asia Minor; Seleucus, Syria and Babylon; and Ptolemy, Egypt. And to further deepen the prophecy, from one of these 4 horns, Daniel saw a small horn emerge. This horn grew very great, toward the south, toward the east, and toward the glorious land. It grew as high as the host of the heavens, and threw some of the starry host down to the earth, and trampled on them. It magnified itself to be as great as the prince of the host, and from him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. Daniel was horrified by the vision of such destructive and arrogant power. Then a holy being asked, How long will it take for the vision to be fulfilled? The vision concerning the daily sacrifice, the transgression that causes desolation, and the surrender of the sanctuary and of the host that will be trampled underfoot? And the answer was, it will take 2,300 evenings and mornings. Then the sanctuary will be... The angel Gabriel appeared to Daniel to explain the vision. He confirmed that the ram with 2 horns were the kings of Media and Persia, the goat, the king of Greece, and the great horn between its eyes, the first king, Alexander. The 4 horns that sprang up in its place meant 4 kingdoms that would rise from his nation,
We are the guardians
but not with
of
the
the
same
light,
power.
the
And the small
protectors of
horn,
the
which would
innocent.
arise in the final time, would be a king of fierce countenance, master of intrigues, who would prosper and cause destruction, and who would rise against the Prince of Princes, the Messiah, but would be broken without human hands. This prophecy points to Antiochus IV Epiphanes, a Seleucid king who profaned the temple in Jerusalem, and also has a future, darker application for the times of the end. This vision from chapter and verse is sensational in its precision and epic in its scope. It is an undeniable testimony that the Creator has an intimate knowledge of the future and that he reveals it to his servants. The battle between the ram and the goat is not just a vivid image. It is a dramatic reminder that history is under control of a divine plan that unfolds with astonishing precision. This depth of revelation truly makes us think. If you feel that this exploration is enriching your understanding, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this and to share this message of hope and truth with your friends and family. After the grand visions of empires and prophecies, Daniel, the faithful servant, found himself in a deep state of contrition and prayer. He was reading Jeremiah's writings, which prophesied 70 years of desolation for Jerusalem. These were the Babylonian years, and Daniel realized that period was drawing to a close. With his heart broken by the situation of his people and the desolation of his beloved city, Daniel turned to the Eternal in a fervent and powerful prayer, a plea that would echo through heaven. His prayer was not a bargain, but a deep confession and an acknowledgement of divine justice. He sought no excuses for his people, but humbly admitted the sins of Israel, of its kings, princes, and fathers. He acknowledged the righteousness of the Creator and the infidelity of his people. He implored for mercy, not by merit, but for the great name of the Eternal, asking him to turn his face to his desolate sanctuary and to his city, which was called by his name. Daniel did not ask on account of his own righteousness, but by divine great mercies. It was a prayer of intercession, a cry from a pure heart for his people. While Daniel was still in prayer, pouring out his soul before the Creator, something extraordinary happened. The angel Gabriel, the same who had appeared to him in previous visions, came flying swiftly, touching him at the time of the evening offering. Gabriel came with an urgent and breathtaking message, a revelation that would not only answer Daniel's prayer, but would unfold the divine plan for the future of Israel and for the coming of the Messiah, a prophecy of mathematical precision and cosmic significance. Gabriel said, "Daniel, I have now come to give you insight and understanding." As soon as he began to pray, a word went out, which I have come to tell you, for you are highly esteemed. Therefore, consider the message and understand the vision. 70 sevens are decreed for your people and your holy city to finish transgression, to put an end to sin, to atone for wickedness, to bring in everlasting righteousness, to seal up vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy place. This prophecy of the 70 weeks is one of the most crucial and detailed passages of Scripture. Gabriel continued, dividing these 70 weeks, which are interpreted as 70 periods of 7 years, totaling 490 years, into 3 distinct parts. 7 sevens,
upon us.
49 years from the issuing of the decree to restore and rebuild Jerusalem until the Anointed One, the ruler, comes. This period refers to the reconstruction of Jerusalem in times of trouble. 62 sevens. For 134 years after 7 sevens, there would be 62 more sevens, and then the Anointed One will be put to death and will have nothing. The people of the ruler who will come will destroy the city and the sanctuary. The end will come like a flood, and war will continue until the end, and desolations have been decreed. 1 7. 7 years during this last 7, he will confirm a covenant with many for 1 7. In the middle of the 7, he will put an end to sacrifice and offering, and at the temple he will set up an abomination that causes desolation, until the end that is decreed is poured out on him. This last week is widely interpreted as a period of future tribulation, with the rise of a powerful figure who will bring deception and persecution. The depth and precision of this prophecy are sensational, truly epic. It points directly to the coming death and salvific purpose of the Messiah, as well as to future events of great significance. Daniel's prayer triggered revelation that would unfold the plan of salvation and the final course of human history. It is a testimony to the power of prayer and divine love for his people. This section from chapter and verse is not just a reading. It is a dive into one of the greatest mysteries of time and eternity. It is an invitation to understand that every sincere prayer can open the doors to the greatest revelations. If you are amazed by the complexity and beauty of these prophecies,
I will pour out my
show your support by giving a like to this video and sharing.
And your daughters
your action
shall
helps
prophesy.
Spread the profound truths to a wider audience. The previous visions have been impressive, the prophecies grand, but the burden on Daniel was immense. After understanding the 70 weeks and the fate of his people, he found himself again in a period of deep anguish and fasting. For 3 full weeks he mourned, abstaining from rich foods, meat, and wine, and without anointing himself with oil. It was a time of humiliation, of intense seeking for the face of the eternal, of preparation to receive even more revelations about the uncertain future. On the 24th day of the first month, Daniel was by the great Tigris River, and there, while he was alone, immersed in his fasting and prayer, he looked up and saw a figure that transcended any human description, an apparition that would leave him without strength and with a reverent terror. It was a vision of astonishing majesty and unmatched power. He saw a man clothed in linen, with a belt of fine gold from up-has around his waist. His body was like chrysolite, his face like lightning, his eyes like blazing torches, his arms and legs like the gleam of burnished bronze, and his voice like the sound of a multitude. No human description could do justice to his glory. The men who were with Daniel, though they did not see the vision, felt a great terror and fled to hide. Daniel remained alone, witnessing the celestial spectacle. The vision was so overwhelming that Daniel had no strength left. His color changed to a deathly pale, and he was helpless. He heard the voice of the figure's words, and as he heard it, he fell prostrate with his face to the ground in a deep sleep. It was the most intense and transformative experience of his life. Then a hand touched him and raised him to his hands and knees. The celestial voice addressed him. "Daniel, you are highly esteemed. Consider carefully the words I am about to speak to you, and stand up, for I have been sent to you now." When he said this to me, I stood up, trembling. The celestial being, whom many identify as the Archangel Gabriel, or even a prefiguration of Messiah, then began to explain the reason for his arrival, and to reveal the behind-the-scenes of a cosmic battle that was being fought in the spiritual realms. He said to Daniel that, from the first day he purposed to understand and humble himself before God. His words were heard, and he had come because of them, but there was resistance. He revealed that the prince of the kingdom of Persia resisted him for 21 days. This was not a reference to a human ruler, but to a powerful spiritual entity, a demonic principality that operated behind the Persian Empire. And he was only able to reach Daniel when Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help him. Michael is the archangel, the great prince who watches over God's people. This revelation was sensational, a shocking glimpse of the invisible war that unfolds in the heavens, directly affecting events on earth. The celestial messenger said he came to make Daniel understand what would happen to his people in the latter days, because the vision referred to many days in the future. It was a preparation for the more detailed and complex prophecies that Daniel would still receive, an even deeper journey into mysteries of the end time. This section from chapter and verse is an epic vision of the spiritual realm, an impactful demonstration that there is more to reality than we can see with our eyes. The angel's arrival to Daniel is not just a supernatural event. It is a window into the battle between good and evil, a guarantee that the prayers of the righteous are heard and that heavenly forces are sent to fight on our behalf. If you are fascinated by this revelation of the invisible world, consider liking and sharing this video. Help us bring this message of hope and the power of prayer to an even wider audience. From the angel's vision, Daniel receives the most detailed and complex prophecy in the entire book, an intricate tapestry of historical events that span centuries, from the days of the divided Greek empires to the culmination of the end times. This is not a vague vision. It is a precise narrative of kings, battles, alliances, and betrayals that would leave any modern historian speechless. The angel unfolds before Daniel a military-political panorama so specific that many doubt its prophetic authenticity, believing it could only have been written after the facts. But Daniel's faith and the text's precision prove otherwise. The prophecy begins with a revelation about 3 more Persian kings who would still arise, and the 4th, who would be richer than all and would stir up all against the kingdom of Greece. This was fulfilled with Xerxes I, who indeed led a vast campaign against Greece. Then, a powerful king would arise and rule with great empire, doing as he pleased, a clear reference to Alexander the Great. But after his peak, his kingdom would be broken and divided into 4 parts, not for his descendants, but for others without the same strength. This reflects the division of Alexander's empire among his generals. From there, the prophecy focuses on incessant struggles between the king of the south, the Ptolemaic dynasty of Egypt, and the king of the north, the Seleucid dynasty of Syria. It is a dramatic saga of failed dynastic marriages, broken alliances, relentless wars, and bloody conspiracies. Alliances through marriage. The king of the south would grow strong, but an alliance made through the marriage of his daughter Berenice, daughter of Ptolemy II, to the king of the north, Antiochus II, would fail, and she and her supporters would be handed over to death. Revenge and conflict. A branch from her roots would rise in his place. Ptolemy III, Berenice's brother, attacked the king of the north and prevail, carrying his gods and precious vessels to Egypt. Constant war. The war between the king of the north and the king of the south would continue for generations, with powerful armies clashing. The intruder king of the north. The prophecy describes the rise of a particularly wicked king from the north, who would come with cunning, even with a small number of people, and would grow strong. He would invade the richest provinces and distribute plunder and goods, devising his schemes against the strongholds. This is Antiochus IV Epiphanes, a central figure in this prophecy. The angel details the actions of Antiochus IV, who is portrayed as a cunning usurper and a cruel tyrant. He would oppose the people of God and profane the temple in Jerusalem. He would return against the Holy Land, taking spoils. His mind would be set against the Holy Covenant, and he would do this. His heart would be arrogant. He would rise against the Prince of Princes. He would set up an abomination that causes desolation in the temple and would abolish the daily sacrifice. He would corrupt with flattery those who violate the covenant. But the people who know their God will firmly resist him and will do exploits. The prophecy of Antiochus IV Epiphanes is remarkably accurate, describing his rise, his military campaigns, his profanation of the temple in 167 BC, and his persecution of faithful Jews. But the angel does not stop there. He advances to the end times, where another figure, even more terrible,
I will pour
with
out
characteristics
my spirit
similar
on
to
all
Antiochus,
flesh.
but on a global
Your
scale
sons
will
and your
emerge.
daughters shall
This king will
prophesy.
do as he pleases. He will exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and will speak unheard of things against the God of gods. He will prosper until the time of wrath is completed, for what has been determined must take place.
Herein lies
He will
the
show no
wisdom of
regard for the
ancients,
gods of his ancestors
a path
or for the
to
one desired by
understanding
women,
the universe
nor will he
itself.
regard any god, but will exalt himself above them all. Instead of them, he will honor a god of fortresses. A god unknown to his ancestors he will honor with gold and silver, with precious stones and costly gifts. He will attack the mightiest fortresses with the help of a foreign god, whom he will acknowledge and lavish with praise. This part of the prophecy is epic in its scope, a bridge between history already fulfilled and events yet to come, a prefiguration of the Antichrist and the time of the Great Tribulation. The angel details that, in the time of the end, the king of the south and the king of the north will again engage in fierce battles, but the focus will shift to the invasion of the glorious land and the persecution of God's people. There will be a great tribulation such as has never occurred, and in the midst of it, Michael, the great prince who protects your people, will arise. This narrative from chapter and verse is a masterpiece of prophecy, a spectacular proof of divine precognition, and an impactful reminder that God is in control of every twist and turn of history. The saga of the kings of the north and the south is not just a fascinating study of ancient history. It is a sensational map for understanding events yet to come and the sovereignty of the eternal over the destiny of nations. If you are impressed with the precision of this prophecy and wish to deepen your knowledge about the mysteries that shape the past and the future, consider subscribing for more revelations like this and sharing this video with those who are seeking understanding. The angel's prophecy reaches its climax, delving into the depths of the time of the end, a period of unprecedented anguish in cosmic events that will culminate in the resurrection and the final judgment. Daniel, the ancient prophet, receives the most solemn and grandiose of revelations, a glimpse of humanity's ultimate destiny and eternal glory. What follows is an epic panorama, a sensational vision of the end of the human journey and the final triumph of divine justice. The angel continues, describing that, in the time of the end, there will be distress such as has not happened from the beginning of nations until then. But at that crucial time, your people, everyone whose name is found written in the book, will be delivered. This is a promise of deliverance for the faithful, those whose names are recorded in the book of life. It is a dramatic reminder that, even in the darkest moments, there is a radiant hope for those who trust in the eternal. And then comes one of the most powerful and impactful statements in the entire Bible about the afterlife. Multitudes who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake, some everlasting life, others to shame and everlasting contempt. This is a promise of resurrection, a certainty that death is not the end, but a portal to eternity, where each individual will face their destiny, be it glory or condemnation. It is a truth that stirs and inspires, reminding us of the seriousness of our choices and the promise of a day of reckoning. The prophecy continues, detailing the reward for the wise and righteous. Those who are wise will shine like the brightness of the heavens, and those who lead many to righteousness, like the stars forever and ever. A promise of honor and glory for those who live with wisdom and guided others to righteousness. It is an inspiring vision of heavenly reward, an incentive to live a life of purpose and eternal impact. But for Daniel, the angel had a final and solemn instruction. But you, Daniel, roll up and seal the words of the scroll until the time of the end. Many will go back and forth, and knowledge will increase. This order to seal the book suggests that these prophecies would have their meaning and full understanding revealed only in the latter days, when knowledge will become abundant and people will be actively seeking to understand the times. It is proof of the timelessness of the book of Daniel, which continues to be a source of study and revelation even today. Daniel, still confused and anxious to understand the details and timeline of these events, asked, "My Lord, what would the outcome of all this be?" The angel replied with a final, mysterious, and comforting declaration, "Go your way, Daniel, because the words are sealed and shut up until the time of the end. Many will be purified, made spotless and refined, but the wicked will continue to be wicked. None of the wicked will understand, but those who are wise will understand." He reiterates that there will be a time of purification and testing for the righteous, while the wicked will remain in their blindness. The angel also mentions specific periods of time. From the time that the daily sacrifice is abolished and the abomination that causes desolation is set up, there will be 1,290 days. Blessed is the one who waits for and reaches the end of the 1,335 days. These numbers, though enigmatic, point to the duration of crucial events during the time of the end, offering a glimpse of the meticulous divine counting of future events. And, finally, the angel gave Daniel his farewell word, the personal promise of a faithful prophet. "As for you, go your way till the end. You will rest. And then at the end of the days you will rise to receive your allotted inheritance. A glorious guarantee of rest in death and resurrection for an eternal inheritance." It is a moving epilogue to the life of a man who dedicated his existence to serving and understanding the ways of the eternal. This section from chapter and verse is a final word, an epic conclusion to a book full of wonders. It is a sensational prophecy that offers a glimpse of the most distant future of resurrection, judgment, and eternal glory. It is a call to reflection on the brevity of life and the certainty of eternity, an impactful reminder that our choices today shape our destiny forever. We have reached the end of an extraordinary journey, a deep exploration to the ages, empires, and divine mysteries revealed in the book of Daniel. From the humble beginnings of a captive youth in Babylon to the cosmic visions of the end times, every chapter and verse presented us with an epic panorama of faith, courage, and divine sovereignty. We saw the Creator's hand acting in human history, tearing down and raising up empires, unraveling secrets, and protecting His faithful and miraculous ways. We witnessed the unwavering resilience of Daniel and his friends in the face of fire and lions, the wisdom that surpassed that of all the world's wise men, and humility that transformed arrogant kings. We journeyed through the sensational prophecies that mapped the future with astonishing precision, from the statues and beasts that represented empires to the intricate battles of the kings of the north and the south, and the grand revelations about the coming of the Messiah and the events of the end times. Every narrative Daniel shared, every vision he received, is a testament that the universe is not an accident, and that history is not at the mercy of blind
and I will
fate.
pour out my
There's a grand plan in
all
motion,
flesh.
orchestrated by a
Your
sovereign
sons
who
and your
knows the end from
daughters
the
shall
beginning,
prophesy.
and who invites us to be part of his eternal story. The life of Daniel challenges us to live with integrity, to pray with fervor, to seek wisdom diligently, and to remain faithful, no matter the circumstances. He reminds us that even in the greatest crises and darkest times, there's a light of hope, a promise of deliverance, and the certainty of an eternal inheritance for those who persevere. Daniel's prophecies, sealed to be open in the last days, are more relevant than ever. They offer us a compass to navigate uncertain times, a lens to see the invisible hand behind world events, and a promise that, in the end, justice will prevail and the kingdom of God will be established forever. May this epic journey have awakened in you a thirst for more knowledge, an inspiration for deeper faith, and a desire to share these transformative truths with the world. It's time to act. If this narrative touched your heart, if these truths resonated in your soul, then don't keep this treasure to yourself. Share this video with everyone you know. Leave a like to help us reach more people, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you become part of our community, ensuring you won't miss any of our future explorations of such impactful and sensational topics as this. Together, we can continue to unravel the mysteries, inspire faith, and spread the light of truth in a world that so desperately needs it. Your participation is vital. Join us on this mission to reveal the extraordinary